So finally, how do we worship him? I think often as Adventists, we read this part where it says, who made heaven and earth and the sea and the springs of water. And so we think of the Garden of Eden, but then we think immediately of Sabbath and keeping the Sabbath, right? Because we know the mark of the beast is coming up and we want to keep Sabbath holy. And, not instead of, but and, the Sabbath commandment says 6 days you labor and work, right? So we rest on the seventh day, but Pavel Goia, one of my favorite preachers, says, lazy people can be Sabbath keepers. If you're resting 7 days, that doesn't really count because the commandment says 6 days we labor and work, right? In the Garden of Eden, God planted a garden and he told us to tend and to keep it, right? So that's one of the things we're to do when we think about worshiping him is just planting and growing things. And I know it's not the right season for that now unless you have a greenhouse. But keep thinking about how can you plant and grow, whether it's physical plants or just the relationships in your life, the fruits of the Spirit. We need to be growing those all the time. So I think God's work looks a lot like the worship can be any of these things, teaching the truth to others, building people's skills, changing lives, and showing God's love in a whole variety of ways. And to me, that sounds a lot like Christ's method alone, right? Because really, if we're fearing God, giving him glory, preparing for the hour of judgment that will come, and worshiping him, we're going to be doing this, reaching people. We're going to have true success when we mingle with people, when we desire their good, when we show sympathy and love people, just like Joseph showed sympathy. And then when we bid people to follow Jesus, they're going to be so much more receptive.